we see that the attempt of the light to come down on earth has often failed. And therefore, Savitri, who is the immortal, she has to live with grief. She has to confront death on her road. And therefore, the mortal's lot became the immortal's share. And now I have to go up to the next page. Thus, trapped in the gin of earthly destinies, awaiting her ordeal's hour abode, outcast from her inborn felicity, accepting life's obscure terrestrial robe, hiding herself even from those she loved, the Godhead greater by a human fate. That last line is, well, all these lines are extremely important, but in another part of Savitri, Sri Aurobindo says, a God come down and greater by the fall. And Aurobindo Basu gave a 1-hour talk on that one line. And so here we see that she is trapped in this jinn of earthly destinies. Now, a jinn here is, in England, a trap to catch animals and people. That's what a jinn was called, a snare or a trap, especially for game, but very often for hunting killers. So Savitri is trapped in this jinn of earthly destinies. She has never been before, because we knew that she came from the sun. She is the daughter of the sun, daughter of the light. And now she is awaiting her ordeal's hour abode. Sri Aurobindo doesn't tell us about that right away. But he does tell us that she is outcast from her inborn felicity. Now, that means she had this bliss, but she had lost it. It was outcast from her when she chose to take a human birth. Accepting life's obscure terrestrial robe, earthly robe, hiding herself even from those she loved. So now we see that this is a flashback, because when she's many, many books later with Satyavan, she is still hiding herself from these parents of Satyavan that she loved. She cannot give these things away. Mother said to Huta, if anyone saw me as I am, they would be immediately demolished. So the Godhead greater by a human fate, a dark foreknowledge separated her from all of whom she was the star and stay. The stay here means the support. Too great to impart the peril and the pain, in her torn depths she kept the grief to come. So now we would have to go way far ahead to see that this is exactly what Savitri was going through when returning from Narad's visit with her parents to Satyavan in this forest abode. She had to keep in her depths, in her torn depths, the grief to come. Why? Because she was too great to impart the peril and the pain. Then he tells us next, this is very important, as one who, watching over men left blind, takes up the load of an unwitting race, harboring a foe whom with her heart she must feed. Unknown her act, unknown the doom she faced, unhelped she must foresee and dread and dare. So, as one who, watching over men left blind, Savitri has to take up this load of an unwitting race, harboring a foe. Who is that foe? Death. Death is the foe, and she has to feed right now with her heart. Unknown her act, no one knows what she's going to do. Unknown the doom she faced, unhelped, she must foresee and dread and dare. Now, because this is a flashback, Sri Aurobindo is going to take us to the beginning and tell us now the long foreknown and fatal morn was here, bringing a noon that seemed like every noon. Why? For nature walks upon her mighty way, unheeding when she breaks a soul, a life. Leaving her slain behind, she travels on. Man only marks, and God's all-seeing eyes. So why does nature do this? Well, because nature has a way, and that way is of creation. She is constantly creating, and she is constantly destroying. The dinosaurs didn't last. They had their time. Many other things didn't last, but at the same time, new things are always coming. And so nature is walking upon her mighty way. She doesn't heed when she breaks a soul or a life, because that's not her mission. Her mission is to create. And so leaving her slain behind, she travels on. But man only marks, and God's all-seeing eyes. Even in this moment of her soul's despair, in its grim rendezvous with death and fear, no cry broke from her lips, no call for aid. She told the secret of her woe to none. Calm was her face, and courage kept her mute. Yet only her outward self suffered and strove. Even her humanity was half divine. Her spirit opened to the spirit in all. Her nature felt all nature as its own. Apart, living within, all lives she bore. Aloof, she gathered in herself the world. Her dread was one with the great cosmic dread. Her strength was founded on the cosmic mights. And now we have for the first time this line, the universal mother's love was hers. And Sri Aurobindo speaks to us of the mother. In the letters on the mother, he writes, the mother comes in order to bring down the supramental, and it is the descent which makes her full manifestation here possible. Then he says, when one does sadhana, the inner consciousness begins to open, and one is able to go inside and have all kinds of experiences here. As the sadhana progresses, one begins to live more and more in this inner being, and the outer becomes more and more superficial. At first, the inner consciousness seems to be the dream, and the outer, the waking reality. Afterwards, the inner consciousness becomes the reality, and the outer is felt by many as a dream or delusion, or else as something superficial and external. The inner consciousness begins to be a place of deep peace, light, happiness, love, closeness to the divine, or the presence of the divine, the mother. So against the evil at life's afflicted roots. And what is this afflicted roots, this distressed roots, these bodily pain, the great troubles, the depressions, the oppressions, the torments? Against the evil at life's afflicted roots, her own calamity, its private sign, of her pangs she made a mystic, poignant sword. And the word poignant, the G is never pronounced. A solitary mind, a worldwide heart, to the lone immortal's unshared work she rose. Well, at first, life grieved not in her burdened breast, because she doesn't realize yet that she's the mother. She's just this young girl who has found her heart's companion, her soul's companion. So at first, life grieved not in her burdened breast. Now, on the lap of earth's original somnolence is that state of drowsiness, sleepiness, inert, released into forgetfulness, prone it reposed, unconscious on mind's verge, obtuse and tranquil, like the stone and star. So we know that obtuse is dull, and tranquil, like the stone and star. Now, something's going to happen in the next few lines. In a deep cleft of silence, twixt two realms, she lay remote from grief, unsawn by care, nothing recalling of the sorrow here. So we have two interesting words. We have a cleft, which is a split or a crevice. And then we have the word twixt, which is a contraction of the word betwixt, because the poet could only have one beat here to make it iambic pentameter. So he couldn't use the word betwixt, which means between. So twixt also means between. So in a deep cleft of silence, between two realms, where she came from and where she is now, she lay remote from grief, unsawn by care. I asked Aurobindo Basu what does this unsawn mean? Because the dictionaries only tell us that it's not cut when you saw something, or you don't saw it, it's unsawn. And he said, not divided. Not divided, as by a saw. So she lay remote from grief, unsawn by care, nothing recalling of the sorrow here on this earth. Then a slow, faint remembrance, shadow-like, moved, and sighing, she laid her hand upon her bosom and recognized the close and lingering ache, deep, quiet, old, made natural to its place, but knew not why it was there, nor whence it came. So we have to remember that she's still a very youthful girl, young woman, and so she doesn't really know why this close and lingering ache is felt by her. And she knew not why it was there, nor whence it came. My gosh. The power, capital P, the power that kindles mind was still withdrawn. Please come. Heavy, unwilling were life's servitors. Servitors are attendants or servants. Sullen, the torch of sense refused to burn. The unassisted brain found not its past. So, it's a very, very interesting line here. The unassisted brain found not its past. Full stop. And then he wants to tell us only a vague earth nature held the frame. But now she stirred. Her life shared the cosmic load. At the summons of her body's voiceless call, you see, Sri Aurobindo is always giving these paradoxes to us. How can you have a call that's voiceless? But it's to make us widen our consciousness, to allow these seeming paradoxes to come in. At the summons of her body's voiceless call, her strong, far-winging spirit traveled back to the yoke of ignorance and fate, back to the labor and stress of mortal days, lighting a pathway through strange symbol dreams across the ebbing of the seas of sleep. So this is so beautiful. Her body's voiceless call summons her, and her strong, far-winging spirit now travels back. Back to what? Back to the yoke, and we all know what a yoke is, that holds the two animals together so they can thresh the grain. And so she has this yoke on her shoulders as well. Back to the yoke, but it's not a yoke that's physically heavy, but it's a yoke of ignorance and a yoke of fate. Back to the labor and stress of mortal days. I can tell you that when stress comes to us, we fall back. Very often we can't handle it. But he tells us now that it lights a pathway through strange symbol dreams, across the ebbing we have the ebb and flow of the sea. Across the ebbing of the seas of sleep. Oh, what beautiful lines. Her house of nature, that's her body, felt an unseen sway. Illumined swiftly were life's darkened rooms, and memory's casements opened on the hours, and the tired feet of thought approached her doors. Now, what are these memories' casements? Can someone tell me what these memories' casements are?
From where she came. From where she came.
No, they're actually windows. When you have a casement, so they're windows that are opening up on the hours. How beautiful.
Memory. Why memory?
Well, memory's casements are opening now on the hours, and the tired feet of thought approached her doors. Now, these thoughts we just read that she didn't have before, now they have come to her. And so when you open a window, you see different things. You can see nature outside, you can be in a city and just see buildings. So these casements of memory now have opened on the hours because she's back to the labor and stress of mortal days, which are lighting a pathway through strange symbol dreams across the ebbing of the seas of sleep. So all came back to her, and that's what we are talking about, memory. Everything came back to her now. She realizes everything, earth and love and doom. The ancient disputants encircled her. Now, who are these ancient disputants? Well, very clearly, earth and love and doom. They're always battling. Doom would like to stay here. It's part of the dark forces. Love would like to come. Earth is a little ambivalent. Right now it doesn't know if it wants to stay here or not. We'll see. But I want to read one letter from Sri Aurobindo on the earth. The earth is a material field of evolution. Mind and life, supermind, Satchidananda, are in principle involved there in the earth consciousness. Very important, they're involved here. But only matter is at first organized. Because matter, even though unconscious, it's organized. A lump of clay is a lump of clay. So then life descends. Notice he doesn't say ascends. Then life descends from the life plane and gives shape and organization and activity to the life principle in matter. Creates the plant and animal. Then mind descends from the mind plane, creating man. Now supermind is to descend so as to create a supramental race. And then he writes to Dilip Kumar Roy, something I love to quote and have done for many years. The earth is a conscious being, and the world is only the form it takes to manifest. The earth is a conscious being. and the world is only the form it takes to manifest. And in the synthesis, he says, because we just been through earth and love and doom, he says, love is the crown of all being, and its way of fulfillment, that by which it rises to all intensity and all fullness, and the ecstasy of utter self-finding. I could read so much more to you, but I have to go on. Except that 2 quotes from Mother. Consciousness is indeed the creatrix of the universe, but love is its savior. Love is, in its essence, the joy of identity. It finds its ultimate expression in the bliss of union. The ancient disputants, those who argue or dispute something, encircled her. Powerful line. Oh, sorry. Like giant figures wrestling in the night. The Godheads from the dim inconscient born, look at that, the Godheads from the dim inconscient born awoke to struggle and the pang divine. And in the shadow of her flaming heart, at the somber center of the dire debate, a guardian of the unconsoled abyss, inheriting the long agony of the globe, a stone-still figure of high and godlike pain, stared into space with fixed, regardless eyes that saw grief's timeless depths, but not life's goal. And I will end there.